For an entire year, I stared at the camera on my laptop. I wanted to hit record. I needed to hit record. But every single time I went to press the button, fear grabbed me. And it stopped me in my tracks, and I would think of anything else to do. I'd go do another load of laundry. I'd go clean the coop for the third time that day. Didn't matter. I just wasn't going to hit record. But here's what I finally discovered. That fear wasn't my enemy. It was actually trying to show me something. And once I understood what it was really saying, everything for me changed. Hey, I'm Lori, and if fear has been keeping you stuck, keeping you from turning on that camera, starting that business, having that hard conversation, or just finally showing up as your real self, I need you to understand something. We've been taught that fear is the enemy, that we need to get over it before we can act, that, courage is the absence of fear, maybe. But what if I told you it was backwards? What if fear isn't blocking your path at all? It's actually lighting it. And what if the voice telling you to stay small isn't your soul at all? It's your ego, desperately trying to keep you safe by keeping you stuck. Let me explain what I mean by that. So there I was, year one of wanting to start this YouTube channel. I had something to say. I had lived through a lot of, traumatic experience that I knew could help people. I knew it because I was doing it with, friends and family in my life, even some of my coworkers. I knew in my soul that I was supposed to do this. But every time I wanted to hit record, the fear, it stopped me dead in my tracks. We all have that voice, right? Who do you think you are? Nobody wants to hear from you. You look stupid. People are going to judge you. And for a whole year, yes, a whole year, I listened to that voice inside me. I let it win. It definitely won. But here's what finally shifted for me. It was one day when I was scrolling through, when I watch YouTube videos, I like to read through the comments. It tells me a lot. And so one day when I was scrolling through, I came across a comment on somebody's video, and I honestly do not remember the video. But this person wrote something like, I really need to hear this. I've been in such a dark place, and your video gave me hope. It gave me hope to keep going. It was something like that. And I can't tell you what that did, but it hit me like lightning. That one comment. I had been so focused on me, on how I looked, how I sounded, whether I was qualified, whether people would judge me. Me. It was all about me. But there was somebody on the other side of my camera that needed to hear what I had to offer, that needed to hear what I had to say. I knew that I could talk about one of my life experiences and it would be able to help somebody else. Somebody else who was going through a rough season, maybe somebody who needed to hear that they weren't alone. I hear there's a lot of loneliness right now. Someone maybe who needed the exact wisdom that came from one of my lived experiences. And by letting fear stop me, I wasn't keeping myself small. I was withholding help from somebody who desperately needed it. And think about it. If someone came up to you on the street and, say, asked for directions, would you say, sorry, I'm not qualified to give directions? No, of course not. You'd help them. Or if somebody was struggling and you had advice that could help, would you refuse because you were afraid of what they'd think of you? Of course not. You'd help them. Most of us, probably better than 90% of us, would help anyone and everyone we could. If we had the ability, we would help them. I do think that's human nature when it comes down to it. So then why was I letting fear stop me from helping someone through my camera? And the moment I took my eyes off myself and put them on the viewer, on the person who maybe needed to hear my message, everything for me changed. It literally changed, almost like a snap of a finger. And that was when I was able to finally hit record. Now, let me explain what actually I think was happening in that moment, because understanding this changed everything for me. Wayne Dyer, who by far is my greatest mentor, he passed 10 years ago or so, but greatest mentor of all time for me. And he taught me something profound. I remember he said, you can either be a host to God or a hostage to your ego. It's your call. So for that entire year, I was a hostage to my ego. And the ego's job is to keep you safe. And it keeps you safe by keeping you the same. The ego does not like change. It sees anything new, anything that requires you to be seen, anything that requires growth as a threat. The ego does not like it. The ego is saying, don't turn on that camera. You'll look stupid. You might fail, Lori. Stay safe. Stay hidden. That's what it was saying to me. But my soul, my true self, was saying something completely different. You know, your soul wants you to take chances. Your soul wants you to take that risk. Your soul, you know, is telling you you have something to offer. Someone needs what you've learned. And this is what you came here to do. I remember Wayne Dyer also said, he said, begin to see yourself as a soul with a body rather than a body with a soul. And when you see yourself as just a body, just this person with flaws and insecurities and the fear of judgment, you get stuck. I know I did. But when you see yourself as a soul with a message, with a purpose, with something to give, it changes everything. Think about it. It changes everything. And here's what I realized. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is actually, I think you need to reframe it and think of fear as your friend. It's trying to show you where your growth edge is. It shows you where your boundaries are, where you need to step beyond. And again, Wayne Dyer said, you know, the parts of anxiety, stress, fear, anger, all these feelings, they don't exist outside your body. I think I paraphrased there a little bit, but all those feelings, anxiety, stress, fear, they're all internal signals. They don't exist. You know, fear doesn't exist outside me. Anxiety doesn't exist outside me. It exists inside me. And we have that ability to change it. And when fear shows up, I think when fear shows up for you, I think what it's saying is whatever you're fearful of taking that next step on, it's saying that this matters to you. And this is where you're being called to grow. It's the direction your soul wants you to go. And here's the key. Fear will keep you stuck as long as you make it about you. That is the key. If you make it about you, if you make it about your inadequacy, about your fear of judgment, but the moment you can shift off yourself and you can shift it to service for others, like to who needs to hear this? Who needs to hear my message? Who am I being called to help? The fear doesn't disappear, but it definitely loses its power to stop you. You know, because service of others will always be bigger than protecting yourself. I mean, I know for me, the greatest joy is when I can help somebody else. And those are not just words. It is truly what makes me shine. It just lights up my day when I can help somebody else. Always has been. So the information's good, right? But now, what can you do to help you with this breakthrough? The same breakthrough that I had. So let's get practical for a minute. And I'm going to walk you through 4 steps or 4 exercises that will help you move from fear to clarity and help you shift your focus from self-protection to service for others. And you can do it right now. So pause this video if you need to after each step, or, you know, write down the steps and, do it after the video. But the first exercise, write down your fears, whatever they are. You know, grab a piece of paper, open up your tools app, your notes app, and at the top write, what am I actually afraid of? And then spend a few moments and just let it flow. Don't edit, don't judge it, just write it. Just write it all down. You know, I'm afraid people will think I'm ridiculous. They'll think I look stupid. You know, I'm afraid I'll fail and prove everyone right. You know, I'll stutter over my own words. I do that all the time, by the way. You know, I'm afraid that I'm too old to start over. I'm afraid I'm too young and I don't have any wisdom. I'm afraid I'll succeed and people will expect more from me. Whatever your fear is, write it down. Because the first thing is when you get it out of your head and you write it down and you acknowledge it, again, fear loses some of your power when you do that. So get it on paper, because when it lives in your head, it has power over you. But when you put it on paper, you take that power back. So now beside each fear, write the question, who am I not helping by letting this fear stop me? Who am I not, serving by not taking action? Because you know what, that's the real cost, right? It's not that you may look foolish or you may stutter, but that someone who needs your help won't get it. So that's really what's on the line here. So step 2 or exercise 2, play the what if scenario. take your biggest fear, you can go through each of them, but take, the biggest fear that you listed, and just think, what if it actually happened? What's the worst case scenario that would happen? Let's say, I know this is a big trending topic. Let's say you're afraid of starting a YouTube channel because people will judge you. People will think you're stupid. People will think you don't know what you're talking about. What if they do? What's the actual consequence? Maybe somebody unfollows you or, unsubscribes or just doesn't subscribe. I mean, that happens to me all the time too. Well, so if they unsubscribe, well, they weren't your people anyways. You're not going to be for everybody. I'm certainly not for everybody. And that's okay. We all have our own tribe, our own group of people that we resonate with, and that the energy just sort of helps each other. So just think about that. Maybe, or maybe somebody leaves a mean comment. Okay. Delete it. Move on. Don't let it bother you. It's just words. It doesn't mean anything. You actually, I know you've heard this, but if somebody's going to leave a mean comment, I think you got to feel, more sorry for them than for yourself, that they have such a life that they can take the time to leave such a mean comment. Something like that happens. I always, not that anybody's left me a mean comment yet, but certainly I come across a lot of mean people in my life, and I always just say a silent blessing over them. They probably need it. So now let's flip that, right? What if you took action and you started a YouTube channel, and what if everything went well? What if your message reaches someone through exactly what you went through, and you met somebody exactly where they're at, the season that they were going through? What if you help someone feel a little bit less alone? What if your story gives someone hope to take their next step in whatever journey that may be? I mean, isn't that a risk that is worth taking to help somebody else? Seriously. I guess, what are you willing to take? Are you willing to play small and safe? Or are you willing to show up imperfectly but help somebody who desperately needs what you have? And that is not an exaggeration. People go to YouTube every day looking for help, looking to solve a problem. And you may just have that answer. You may just be able to help that person. So, exercise 3, identify the person in your mind who you're being called to serve. And this was the exercise that really changed everything for me. So close your eyes for a minute if you can, and picture the person on the other side of your camera, the other side of your email, the other side of a conversation. Who are they? What are they struggling with? What season of life are they in? And what do they need to hear? What do you think they need to hear? When you were going through whatever you were going through, what did you need to hear? So for me, I guess I bounced around all over the place. I pictured someone late 30s, 40s, 50s, maybe somebody who felt stuck, maybe an empty nester, maybe somebody going through midlife. But then at the same time, I've been through so much as a teenager and a young adult that I know our younger generation is struggling right now. And for good reason, really for good reason. And if I can help anyone there too, I'm willing to do that. So my thoughts have been all over the place, but I have a visual of each person that I feel I can help. I guess I visualized somebody who thought maybe it was too late, or maybe somebody who thought they're too young and they don't have enough wisdom yet, who believed the stories that they were being told about themselves about not being enough. I think that's one aspect of the people I try and help, is I think everybody needs to understand that they matter and that everybody has come here with a purpose. Nobody is here by accident. We all have a purpose, but not all of us will recognize it. So that's what I'm here to do, is help anybody that will listen to recognize their purpose. And I think one of the things I realized is that person needed to know that they're not alone. They need to know it wasn't too late. They need to hear that someone else walked through the fire and made it to the other side. Maybe walk through the exact season they're in right now. And you got to ask yourself, Who is that person for you? And that's why I eventually ended up hitting record. It wasn't for me. It was never about me. Never. This journey, my channel was never about me. It was always for you, for somebody else. So who are you being called to serve? And what does that person need from you? And then lastly, exercise 4, have a conversation with your soul. It's not as scary as it sounds. Find a quiet place, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths just to regulate your nervous system. And then just quietly ask your soul, what do you want? What do you want me to know right now? What is the next step you're calling me to take? Who am I meant to serve? And then I just want you to listen. Just listen. I say to my kids all the time, but I know I've said before in videos that I think if we stopped talking so much as we do and listened more, there wouldn't be so much chaos in the world. And I truly, truly believe that. Listening is a lost art. And I think we all need to do a little bit more of it. And just know one thing, your soul isn't loud like your ego. It's quiet, it's gentle, it's very still. It's just not going to come shouting at you. And I remember, again, Wayne Dyer, he said, you know what, I wrote it down because I didn't want to forget it. He said, when there is silence, one finds the anchor of the universe within oneself. That means when you're quiet and you go inside, you'll actually find a whole world inside yourself. So just sit with those questions for a little bit. Sit in that silence. Let your soul speak and trust what comes out. And then I think, what if you let your soul lead the way and you just became the observer? Just watch everything sort of unfold. What would happen? What would change if you stopped making this about you and started making it about, serving somebody else? Now, I'm sure some of you are saying, yeah, Lori, but, I'll have imposter syndrome. I feel like a fraud. I'm not qualified. I'm not an expert. My advice to you, be that imposter. Be the imposter until it feels natural. Because the truth is, you don't need a PhD to share what you've lived through. You don't need permission to help someone who's struggling with something you've already survived. And I am telling you from personal experience, I would rather have somebody who has walked through what I have walked through, especially when it comes to my health, than somebody who has a PhD on the wall. That means nothing to me. And I have learned that the hard way, but it means absolutely nothing. I'm sure there are plenty of doctors still out there that are really, really good, and I know that. So this is not a shot about the doctors, but the ones who have crossed my path, it was always more about them than about me. But that's a rabbit hole for another day. Anyways, so somebody would always rather learn from somebody who's gone through it than the piece of paper they have. And if someone's drowning and you know how to swim, do you wait until you're an Olympic swimmer or, before you help them? Of course not. You help them now because you know how to help them. You know how to swim. Your lived experience is your qualification, period. Hard stop, period. And the person on the other side of your camera, they don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be real. They just need you to be you, and they need you to show up. Nothing happens if you don't show up. They need you to show them it's possible to make it through the hard season they're in. I don't know how to say it any more clearly. And I think, I guess I would like to say we're never guaranteed tomorrow. So do it now. Don't wait a week. Don't wait any longer. Do it now. Tomorrow isn't promised to anybody. So you don't get to practice life. This is it right now, today. So be the imposter. Show up before you feel ready. Speak before your voice stops shaking. Create before you feel qualified. It'll be hard, sure. It'll be hard. But each time you press record, it gets a little bit easier. I promise. And I'm telling you, somebody needs you. Somebody needs you. They need your help. And they don't care if you feel like an imposter. They don't care. They just need you to show up. Competence doesn't come before action. It comes through action and only through action. Every expert you admire started exactly where you are. Every guru out there that might be giving you advice started exactly where you are. Terrified, uncertain, probably feeling unqualified. The only difference between you and them is they took action. And they chose service over, self-protection, I guess. So here we are. Made it to the end of the video. I know it's a little bit longer than I usually go. But if you stayed till the end of the video, that means you're ready. That means you're ready to take action and you're ready to make that shift. And I know you're ready to send that email, have that conversation, or press the record button. And just remember, fear is not your enemy. It's your friend. And it's showing you where your next level of growth should be. Your ego, it's trying to protect you, and that's good at times, but it's just trying to keep you the same. And your soul is calling you forward to help others. Your soul is trying to show you your purpose, to become the person you were always meant to be. So here's what I need you to understand. The person on the other side, the person who needs what you have to offer, they're waiting for you. So you need to show up for them. They're in a hard season. They're questioning if they can make it. They're wondering if anyone else has ever felt this way. They feel so alone. Show up for them. And you have the answer they need. I know you do. You have the wisdom that comes from lived experience. You have the story that could change everything for them. One step at a time. But they can't receive it if you don't show up. If you don't press record, you don't send that email. And one of my favorite sayings by Wayne Dyer is, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. So reframe being fearful. Change the way you look at fear. So not as a stop sign. It's not a hard stop sign. It's not as evidence that you're not ready. It's just confirmation that you're being called to serve someone who desperately needs you. Take that first step. You do not need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take that first step. And take your eyes off yourself. Put them on, the person who needs your help. And I only say this with conviction because I lost a year of thinking about me. So it's the only reason. And I know once you can shift that perspective, it will change for you. And that's the only reason I'm so passionate about it. And here's what I want you to do today. If you can, before you go to bed tonight, depending on what time you see this, write down your fear, name it, look at it, and then ask, who am I not helping by letting this fear stop me? And just think about that. Identify who you're meant to serve. Picture that person. What are they struggling with? What do they need to hear from you? And then if you can, just take one step forward, one step closer to serving them. And don't do busy stuff. I should have mentioned that. I'm very good at doing busy stuff. Kind of pretending that, I was going forward with my channel because I would watch 15, YouTube videos, or I would sign up for yet another coaching call, or, whatever it is. You don't need any of that. I don't care how much coaching you get, until you can reframe fear and until you can take the eyes off yourself and you can press that record button. You can spend as much money as you want on coaching and it's not going to help. It's just not. So don't do what I did. That's it. So maybe try turning on the camera for 30 seconds. Maybe writing that first paragraph of the email. And if it's a hard email that you need to send, or a letter or something, I always suggest writing it and then sitting with it for a little bit. Don't ever just send it. Sit with it a little bit. And again, I speak from experience. But whatever it is, try to do something today. Do it scared, do it imperfectly. Just do it. Because there is someone on the other side that needs you to show up. And if this message resonated with you, I want to hear from you. I want you to drop below in the comments, what fear are you going to work through? And tell me who you think you're called to help. Say it, claim it, make it real. Putting it down in writing, putting it out into the universe is the first step to moving it forward. And listen, if you're tired of letting fear keep you from serving the people who need you, if you're ready to shift from self-protection to more of a soul-filled life, and if you want to be part of a community that shows up perfectly, but consistently and bravely, then subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell, because we're building a soul circle here, a place where we get real about our fears, we support each other, and we remember who we are, and we remember what really matters. You don't have to do this alone. You don't have to wait until you feel ready, and you certainly don't have to be perfect. You just have to be you, and you just have to show up. And I know I've quoted Wayne Dyer quite a bit, but lastly, I'm paraphrasing here, but the more that you get your ego out of the picture and the more you think about how you can serve somebody else, the more miracles will show up. So put the focus on somebody else and a miracle will show up. Get your ego out of the picture and just watch the miracles unfold. I'll see you in the next episode. Remember, you're enough just the way you are. And I'm so proud of you for making it till the end and being here, because that means you're ready. You're committed to this. I love you, and we'll talk soon.